Welcome back to Brick Gaming YGO. Today I'm back here with another deck profile, and today is my Myutant second place deck list. Now I've been kind of off and on with this deck, like not in the way of like playing it, but more in the way of doing well with it. But I came back, I completely changed the deck list, well not completely, but enough to make a big difference, and change the playstyle slightly. So I'm going to get right into this list. I did extremely well. I played against almost all meta decks today, or at least all good decks that are relevant right now. And I did very well against playing against those decks. So I'll go over the deck profile and then I'll get into my matchups. And yeah, let's get right into this. But before I begin, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you're not subscribed, it would mean a lot. The goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers at the end of this year. So please help out on that goal, and let's begin. So first off, I played 3 M05. This is a monster searcher, and both the M05 and ST46 tribute themselves, and banish one of these other card types. So if it's a monster, you get Mutant Beast. If it's a spell, you get Mutant Mist, and if it's a trap, you get Mutant Arsenal. So this one, just the only difference between this card and ST46, which I will put on screen now, is that ST46 goes after spells and traps. So you got a Spell and Trap Searcher and Monster Searcher. Then moving on, I play 2 copies of Beast. This one negates and banishes spells by banishing one of your cards. Next is 1 copy of Arsenal. Arsenal, you can banish one of your cards in response to an opponent's monster effect, and then banish one monster they control. And then finally, 1 copy of Mutant Mist. It does the same exact thing, except for when your opponent activates a trap, you banish one of your cards to draw 2 cards. So altogether, very strong big boys. Next, I play 3 copies of Necroface. I kind of like this card, I kind of don't. When it comes up, it can be really good, and sometimes it's really bad. It just depends, especially on matchup. I think this card's also only good when you're going first, because I can interrupt or get rid of your opponent's searchable one-ofs before they even get access to it, or a card that they need for a combo, or like a card they need for interaction. But outside of that, this card's not the best, and it can potentially disrupt your opponent's deck, but not always. Next, for the hand traps, I just play 3 D-shifters, and that is it. I cut Ash, I cut Imperm. I just don't really like hand traps in this deck that much after like playing around with it quite a bit. And obviously it's worked out. I got second place, so less hand traps seem to be better. And this card, the only reason you play it is because it's so important, puts in so much work, and also, on top of that, you know, it works with the archetype. So that's the only reason I play D-Shifter. Next, for the spells, I play 3 Evolution Lab, because you always want to see it. I see some people back when this deck was first announced, or even more recently, only playing like 1 or 2 copies. You want to play 3, you want to see this card as much as possible because it maximizes your first turn combos. And then if it's like, depending on the matchup, you can potentially side out 1, maybe 2 copies at most. But I think just game 1, just having the most amount of consistency, the card's very important. And what it does is that when it's activated, special summon one of your level 4, you can special summon one of your level 4 or lower mutants from your hand, or banish. All of your mutants gain 100 attack for each different mutant in your banished. And then finally, you can place one of your mutant monsters from your hand on the bottom of your deck and draw 1 card. So altogether, really good. Then I play 3 copies of Mystic Mine, because of course I'm that type of player. I just kind of thought about quite a bit in this deck. If you can't get to a monster and you can't get to like the resources you need, you kind of have to play Mystic Mine. There's not really a lot of choice beyond that. So of course I have played through Mystic Mine, and it came in clutch. And then of course the 1 copy of Terraforming, because Terraforming is just a extra consistency. I threw it back in, I re-upped this deck to 41 cards, and yeah, it worked really well. Then I played 3 copies of Pot of Extravagance, just extra draw power, just really good. You don't really use your extra deck that much, so yeah, it's really just a powerful card, gets you free resources, and it's Ash Bait, which is always good. Then, of course, I play 1 copy of E-Telly, because E-Telly is super nice in this deck. All your little guys are psychics, and this is a way to start your engine. And then finally, for the spells, 1 Mutant Fusion. This is a fusion spell that allows you to use from deck or field, hand or field, and if your opponent activates a card during your turn, You can also use your graveyard and deck to banish them for the fusion of a Myutant. This card came up exactly once today, but was for basically allow me to go for a game against an opponent. So yeah, it can come up some of the time. Next, I play, of course, 3 copies of Myutant Expansion. Just another way to get some extra consistency in the deck, so I quite enjoy that card. Then 3 copies of Mutant Cry because it's another fusion. Instead of banishing for this fusion card, you shuffle the cards back into deck from your graveyard, from your banished, and from your field. Blah blah blah. I couldn't really think for a second. My brain kind of just froze, and I sorry about that. But yeah, it basically just allows you to fusion from field, grave, or banish by shuffling the cards back. Then for the next card, I play triple. There can be only one because almost all your big boys are all different. All your little boys are the same, but you don't really want a lot of little boys on the field, so this just allows you to maximize your big boys, and it's really good against almost every single meta deck right now. So I'm really enjoying it. Just really a good card in my opinion. Then finally, I play double Dogma Punishment or Dogmatica Punishment. Just easy removal, pretty good all around. Then, of course, 1 copy of Macrocosmos, because, you know, banishing is good. Who doesn't like banishing? And then finally, 1 copy of Imperial Order, because you don't really play that many spells, and this is just free defense against stuff like Drytron, or other decks that play high spell counts. And yeah, Imperial Order is pretty clutch. Then moving on to the extra deck, I play 3 copies of Ultimus. He's an Omni Negate. He requires 3 of your big boys, so he doesn't really come out that much, but when he does, it's usually about game by the time he's coming out. So yeah, that's always pretty nice. And of course, when he's destroyed and removed from the field, you can add up to 3 of your banished Mutant cards, and 1 of each monster, spell, or trap. So yeah, also some free recursion if your opponent gets rid of him. Then I play 3 copies of Mutant Synthesis. So 1 pops on summon, so when he's summoned, he targets 1 card in the field and destroys it. Then you can declare once per turn, monster, spell, or trap, and then he's unaffected by that type of card until the end phase. And then on top of that, when he's destroyed, you can add back 1 of any of your mutant cards from your banished. Moving on, I play triple Elder Entity Nittis. Typically when this card gets sent to the graveyard with punishment, or by an opponent's Dogmatica effect. This card just allows you to pop stuff, has more interaction, and then the other option is of course Toad, because it allows you to get your water boys, aka the little boys, from your graveyard back to your hand. So all these cards are your targets for punishment. Then moving on for the rest of the XYZs, I play 1 copy, or not 1, 2, of course, two copies of Ding, because Ding is really good in my opinion, and is just a really relevant card right now, because a non-targeting removal card that sends and doesn't destroy, so it deals with a lot of cards really easily, and I just feel like it's best rank 8 option. Then, also, I play 1 copy of True King of All Calamities, because you can make this card in this deck. Super nice, he's just a rank 9, then you can just use 2 of your big boys to make him, so super nice, and I mean the fusion big boys. And then finally, for the final 2 cards in my extra deck, I play 2 copies of Nightmare Phoenix. Just free spell and trap removal. Sometimes it comes up, sometimes it doesn't. But I think this is the best link option for the deck. Then moving on to the side deck, I play 3 copies of Nibiru. Nibiru is just really good. This deck has a hard time with combo decks, and this deck has a hard time playing through negates. So I think just having triple Nibiru is really, really good. And I think it's a really important card just having your side deck. Then the next card I play is triple copies of Droll. Yeah, I don't want to play against Drytron. I just heard that this was really good against the deck. Turns out it is really good against that deck. And yeah, Droll is actually a pretty good card right now. Then moving on to the spells for my side deck, I play triple Cosmic Cyclone and 1 copy of Harpy's Feather Duster just for spell and trap removal. I think it's really good to have spell and trap removal right now. As just really in the meta in general, every deck have like some type of spell or trap that they could set or play. And this is also really clutch against virtual worlds when they try to activate cards. It's just really clutch. And by that I'm referring to Cosmics, and Harpies of course just deals with massive back row. Then moving on, I have 2 copies of Dark Ruler No More. just monster negate. This card just all around really good, and I think it's still relevant. And then finally, for the last 3 cards in my side deck, I play triple evenly matched, and this card, pretty good. Just kind of kills your opponent's board and clears it. And plus, the first battle phase really isn't too important for this deck because the deck can't OTK, so evenly matched just is really good and feels almost free against most decks. Now, moving on to some of the matchups for today. My first round I played against Salamangreats. I beat Salamangreats 2-0. It was pretty decisive because game 1, I just kind of wrecked him with Mystic Mine. Mystic Mine was really clutch in that matchup. He went first, and I base out his first negate with Emergency Teleport. Well, his only negate was Emergency Teleport, and I just threw down Mystic Mine, and he couldn't play for a couple of turns. Enough turns for me to build up my resources, come back, and just take out the rest of his board, and he couldn't recover. Then game 2, I opened up, my hand was really crazy. I opened up triple D shifters, Mystic Mine, and there can only be one, and I'm going second again, and then for turn I drew into one of the little Myutant boys, and yeah, it was just not good for him. He just couldn't play through that much. So yeah, I got that game. Then round 2 I played against Dinos, and Dinos is really good. This deck generally has a pretty hard time against Dinos, to be honest, but I beat Dinos 2-0 as well. Game 1, I ended up getting game 1 just by out-resourcing him. He went second, which was fine. I de-shifted myself, of course. Got a bunch of, just kind of a basic board set, Beast, plus, like, some back row. So nothing too impressive, but his hand wasn't really the best, and he couldn't really do anything with de-shifter. So, yeah, he kind of just ended up losing game 1. Then game 2 was a grind game. He got me down to 1,000 life points with the Ulti Conductor on board and Phoenix after outing a Mystic Mine. The guy had summoned a monster, and he summoned the Ulti Conductor after he outed Mystic Mine. So then he got me down to 1,000 life points. So I was like, ooh, this is not good. But then I had Cry, and I was able to get into 2 Myutant big boys because he ran out of things to flip face down with Ulti Conductor. I just ended going pretty much for game because he was out of resources. Then my round 3 was against Virtual Worlds. Game 1, he opened up kind of like standard-ish. Like he really like, and I mean like, how do I say this? I went first. And by standard, I mean, I pretty much just set up for him not to be able to play, and he wasn't able to play. Then game 2, I went first, or wait, no, who went first in game? Oh yeah, he went first in game 2, but he ended up bricking on triple Lancia, Called By, and then the trap for Virtual Worlds. So I couldn't play either because he had all of this hate against my deck. So I just sat there for 3 turns with a whole bunch of back row. And then when he finally started drawing the monsters, I just had so much back row that it really didn't even matter, and I was just able to kill him with mutants. I got that game as well. And then finally for my round 4, and this is the game I did lose, unfortunately, but went to game 3, and that was the only game today that went to game 3. All my other games were 2-0s against my opponent. It was super nuts. It was just like 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. And then I played against Drytron. Game 1, I just lost almost instantly. He just kind of got what he needed going first, and I just could not play. Then game 2 against him, I go first. I set up a board. Basically, I just kind of banish off some of his searchable cards with Necroface. Some cards I guess he needs for the deck, but, you know, I just got rid of them. So game 2 was kind of already at a disadvantage. It became a grind game, and my deck ended up winning in the grind. Then game 3, this is where I kind of like misplayed more than I should have. Sure, I made a couple like minor misplays during game 2, but it didn't really matter that much. And stuff that I was like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. But then game 3, I really wasn't sure like what side deck and stuff looked like, so I was just sitting on Mystic Mine for a while. And I got up to enough resources where I was like, cool, I'm comfortable with like starting to like go in deeper and start getting rid of his stuff. Well, it turns out once I got rid of Mystic Mine, he had a whole bunch of responses, so I didn't really get very far. And then I ended up having him pass with like almost nothing, just a bunch of back row, and he was just able to go almost immediately access code and just kill off all my stuff pretty quickly. Pretty decisively, he killed me with access code. So yeah, that was a little bit unfortunate. And then after the match, I learned he had actually like no outs and Mystic Mine in his deck. So that was very sad. But I didn't want to be like, you know, really scummy about it and be like, oh yeah, no, I'm just going to sell Mystic Mine. I actually want to play the game. And that's kind of like the idea with Mutants and playing Mystic Mine. Is that you leave Mystic Mine up long enough so that you can basically just outplay your opponent in resources and in cards that you have at your advantage. But in that case against Drytron, it just did not go like that. And yeah, I just wasn't really used to the matchup and made a couple of mistakes. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Is all about improving, all about doing better. And I'm planning on coming back. And hopefully next time I will get first place with this deck. So if you guys like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you're not subscribed, I will highly recommend it. And I will see you all in the next video. Peace.